First, I would like to remind you about the ACCC central idea. That was the idea what we wrote to the funding application to Finnish Academy. And that was and is establishment of a world-leading Atmosphere and Climate Competence Center whose interdisciplinary research is in active interaction with the climate and air quality policymakers and private sector. And it is a challenge itself to kind of create world-leading Atmosphere and Climate Competence Center with interdisciplinary research. But it's even more complicated to kind of create active interaction in different directions. And to fulfill that central idea, I think it is necessary for us to understand various stakeholders' interests. They are different than the research interest. We have to enhance the innovation process in climate research areas. This is a challenge for all the research areas, in my opinion, especially in Finland, but also in elsewhere. It's always a challenge to kind of create innovation process from research to business, or from research to regulation, or from research to any other area. And then we need to steer the cooperation activities towards concrete multi-stakeholder projects. Only through practical examples we can kind of learn more about the other areas of life or other aspects to approach the science and research. So the pressure is different to have results for politicians than it is for researchers, and it is different to business people than it is to researchers and politicians naturally. But it is important to kind of gather together to understand different interests. And that's why the aim of the ACCC Innovation Forum is to detect, discuss and develop cooperation ideas with various partners. And this you have already seen. I will not go into details in these 3 different research programs and 13 impact tasks creating the impact program, but it is a challenge itself to coordinate between these elements of the ACCC and especially to create more impact to other fields of our society. And that's why we have kind of thought that ACCC, we need this kind of innovation forum, which is easy entry, low barrier access to information, to science, to ACCC partners. And we would like to kind of create a concept where it's easy to connect new stakeholders to ACCC cooperation. It's easy to, hopefully, to develop ideas from research to social business and other innovations. Innovation doesn't have to be business innovation. It can be some other innovation. It can be regulatory innovation. It can be related to, for instance, to the verification needs and the new standards or whatever. But we need to develop ideas. We have to have more ideas first with different stakeholders. We have to develop the ideas further. And then we would like to facilitate the concrete multi-stakeholder climate projects, so that we have that practical experience of different kind of projects and aspects. And as I mentioned, we would like to enhance the innovation processes related to atmospheric and climate sciences and promote awareness of climate sciences in other fields of society and business. And as an anecdote, when we met first with Markku, it was in the waiting room for the permanent secretary of Ministry of Finance in Finland. And I was kind of shocked that it was first time Markku was meeting the permanent secretary of Ministry of Finance. And that tells me and told me at that time something about the importance of the connections to different decision makers and also its active work. You have to kind of reserve time for it, and that's not to blame to Markku, but it was, as we know already at that time, that we have extremely developed climate research in Finland. we still didn't have connection between the permanent secretary of Ministry of Finance and one of the leading researchers in climate area in Finland. Luckily we got there, and it was fruitful discussion, and it has actually continued after that. But just as a reminder that there is always somebody who doesn't know about you yet. And this is about about the Innovation Forum, how we see it to be placed in the organization which is there. So we have two kind of strategic steering forums or offices in ACCC. One is the Science and Impact Advisory Board, which gives kind of guidance, broad guidance on the state of climate affairs and possible cooperation aspects with other institutions. There we have many distinguished members which you can check from the website. For example, Petteri Taalas from WMO, and this is led by Kaarlo Hämeri, Chancellor of Helsinki University. And then we have a steering board which is consisting of university rectors and Director General of FMI, which then gives more or less the strategic scientific guidance. And directorate consists of Markku and the vice directors of research partners. Then we have a small virtual office which you have maybe contacted already by email, and then Research and Impact Coordination Board, which is doing the work which coordinates the research program and impact task work as such. But then we have had challenges to concretely connect other stakeholders to ACCC. It's difficult to kind of explain for, let's say, company X who is interested in climate research areas and would like to be in cooperation with science and research sector, that how to then connect, how to find the research I'm needing, and how to kind of even know that how this wide center is working. And that's why we would like to kind of create this ACCC Innovation Forum to, as I mentioned, easy access and low barrier entry to research. And of course, normally it's about resources, it's about time and money, who to put in connection with this kind of a scientific monster in a way with various really high-class research functions. So in practice, how we would then work? We have thought that we have to have a regular meetings, be it monthly or bi-monthly. We can decide on once we see how our agenda develops. Our agenda will be prepared by the research programs together with the impact tasks, but it's also open. This is old slides also, by the way. It's also so you can update the slides in the internet, but agenda items can always be developed by the stakeholders and with stakeholders also. So we can kind of create monthly or bi-monthly agenda where part of the items are prepared by the research sector and part of the items the most active business or public sector stakeholders. And we would like to focus on the development process here. So we have to find a way from idea to innovation and further. So we have to think about why we are doing certain things, what we are actually doing, how we do it, and with whom we should work with, so that we have more climate impact than we can have working together with research partners only. And we would like to develop within that forum concrete cooperation plans towards the innovations. And then another kind of a concept could be, this is open concept in a way, climate tech talks, which we could organize 2 or 3 times per year with different partners. It can include interesting keynote speakers, panelists, as we have heard today, for instance. It can, at the same time, it can also be event for business pitches, for startups, for instance, or hackathons, or whatever we can create. And the third bullet, which is missing at this slide at the moment, is that we are, of course, open for any forms of cooperation which is interesting for other stakeholders. And before Markku, this just concludes the idea that we would like to find all different avenues and ways to work from deep scientific understanding to practical solutions. And please be active in send email, use chat at this time when we are collected here together in Sofia and there remotely in the internet. But please, Markku, you have still a few slides here.
Yes. All right. The basic idea is that with this Innovation Forum, we are able to. This doesn't help. I think that doesn't help in web, but in basic research, we are doing new knowledge from money in practice, from some resources. And in innovations, we make new money from knowledge. And this is very simple. And actually, the idea is that in that way we help society. And in society, we need to be able to select in a way or other decision makers that they understand the importance of basic research. The flagship itself is part of that part that we go from basic research to innovations, and in our Innovation Forum, we would like to work with different stakeholders to get the basic idea. Basic idea with them, how they see that which kind of innovations are needed to having knowledge transfer in all directions. And if you look this other picture here, this so-called Eucary arrow, that really from understanding a molecular or cell level in biology or turbulence level in meteorology, we need to go to integrate Earth system models to understand this whole planet. And of course the other data sets are needed, but this is one-dimensional or two-dimensional way of looking this multidimensional problem. But actually the Innovation Forum in ACCC feels this somehow fulfill this idea how we get that part done. And we have also a data portal which you can find from our webpage. And I really hope that in webpage it's said in the way that you can find it. And if not, we will improve the webpage. This should be found in the first page in the web. Those who are responsible of our web, you hear it also. And what we have there? We have the environment and laboratory measurements and modeling results, but especially we have connections to different long-term observations of greenhouse gases, other trace gases, aerosols, etc., like SmartSmear or AVA or international research infrastructures like ICOS, Actress, Altair, and also this field observatory by FMI. We are able to look this data and visualization of agricultural carbon uptake and emissions. And we are actively looking to different ways to utilize the data, and the data is open data. This is the basic idea to have open data. And also open for ideas and collaborations.